Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Managing Editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Joining me today is Kelley Keehn, who is CEO of MoneyWise Institute. Thanks for joining us, Kelley.
Always great to be with you. Thanks for having me, Mario.
Okay, we're going to talk about financial literacy. It is Financial Literacy Month in November. Going to focus our attention on entrepreneurs. And as you know, we usually talk about financial literacy for like consumers and stuff like that, but I want to talk about entrepreneurs. Why does it matter? Why does financial literacy matter for entrepreneurs?
Oh, absolutely. I think it matters more for entrepreneurs, Mario, really than for anyone. Like money confidence is business confidence. And, if it's hiring, if it's pricing, if it's investing in your business or risk taking, having that clear foundation about your money behaviors, that strategy flows right into your business. So, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for many years, have worn many hats. And cash flow, as we know, is king. So, what we also know, Mario, with entrepreneurs is that a lot of times they're personal and their business is commingled. So, having that base level of financial knowledge and confidence is so important. And if you're watching this as an entrepreneur and you don't have that, this is the month to help educate you. And we've got some great resources as well in this interview to get you on your way.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the balance, I guess, as an entrepreneur, you're making decisions, the balance between instinct, gut, and information, and how important that is in business.
Yeah, I mean, definitely instinct is what many entrepreneurs rely on, right? But the problem is that's not always paired with information. So when it comes to finances, I mean, a recent CIBC Investor Edge survey found that nearly half of young Canadians are relying on, instinct rather than information. And when it comes to your finances, that is not something that we want to use instinct, but we want to make sure that it's backed by credible sourced information. And we see that same kind of pattern in leadership. So it's tough to cut through the noise. But definitely, you want to make sure that instinct isn't taking precedence over, sound financial decisions that can be very, very costly.
What are some of the most, I guess, common blind spots when it comes to financial stuff for entrepreneurs?
Definitely underpricing, overpricing, avoiding investing because of fear, right? So, just as we would personally, the entrepreneur needs to invest as well. It might be, now this isn't really an investment, but it might be something as simple as, being really having good hygiene with putting your taxes aside, your HST or your GST, things of that sort. It might mean things Mario, like hiring too fast or too slow. And then, of course, cash flow. This is what, is the bane of the existence of every small business owner or entrepreneur is making sure that that cash flow, be it actual cash, receivables, a strong line of credit. So as we know that this is the number one reason that businesses, go under is because of a lack of cash flow. So sitting down with your banker, talking to a financial planner, understanding not just your personal but also your business cash flow and those blind spots as I mentioned, I think are absolutely key, not just to staying afloat but to growing, which is what every entrepreneur wants as well.
Okay, Kelley, you mentioned earlier about resources. Let's talk about some of them. How, what should an entrepreneur do? I'm sitting here and I'm running my business, and I'm going, geez, I should learn a little bit more about money and finances. Tell me what to do. What should I do?
Absolutely. As my mother always says, it doesn't matter what you earn, it matters what you save and then what you invest. I still need to take advice from my 87-year-old mother, Mario, but I do listen to her and always heed that. So, some great resources. There's three that are my favorite right now. GetSmarterAboutMoney.ca. This is a resource put out by the Ontario Securities Commission, but anyone across Canada, of course, can hop on it. You're going to learn everything from stocks, bonds, your credit score, everything that you want to learn personally, but also may affect you and your business as well, and the integrity of that cash flow and staying afloat. I love the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada's website. It is a mouthful. Financial Consumer Agency of Canada. What you'll find on that website, Mario, are lots of calculators and tools to figure out how to maybe pay down your credit card debt or save for a mortgage or, clean up your credit because you want to get a business line of credit. Now, when it comes to investing, and that's so important, I really look to CIBC's Financial Literacy and Investing Hub. You don't have to be a client, and they have so many resources there, education, and they also have insights from professionals that I really trust. So if you are dipping your toe into investing, maybe you've got some excess cash in your corporation and you're able to invest it. Those are some really great resources, regardless if you're trying to get out of debt or you're actually leaning into investing. And when we talk about investing, Mario, it doesn't need to be much for you to feel like an investor. It can be as little as $100 a month. And you start to have some skin in the game and realize that, you don't have to wait for the one day. If you just start carving out a little bit of what you're bringing in, you're just going to feel so much more solid, and that your entrepreneurial endeavors are actually adding to your bottom line. Because another really important part, right? As an entrepreneur, you don't have a pension. You are solely responsible for your investments. So I think it's just such a great time for your viewers, Mario, to really lean into their literacy skills, making sure they're getting information from credible sources, not just finfluencers, which can be great, but making sure it's backed up by solid advice as well.
What would you tell an entrepreneur, an advice would you give them about making financial decisions based on emotion and on stress?
Yes. Now, I would say a lot of things. It's a really great question. I would say a lot of things logically, but the reality is we do make a lot of decisions on emotion. As we were talking about instinct before, we feel when it comes to money, it's very, very personal. And money triggers are real if it's anxiety, if it's, uncertainty. But what I can tell you is that the more information you have, if you actually look at your problem, like entrepreneurs are really great at what they do and sometimes feel maybe emotional, maybe some fear, maybe some shame when it comes to their finances. And you don't need to feel that way. There's professionals, there's resources out there. But I promise you, one thing that isn't going to happen is someone isn't going to knock on your door and do this for you. So it feels so good to be grounded financially, even if you're swimming in debt. And a lot of entrepreneurs are at that stage where they're heavily invested. Everything is invested in their company. So it's even more important that you're looking at fundamentals like, do you personally have an emergency account? Does your business have an emergency account? And are you taking, even if it's the smallest bit, of profit off the table to invest back in yourself and your future?
Yeah. Uh, One of the interesting things when you look at entrepreneurs, right? That they all have come out with an idea and they go with it, right?
Yeah.
And the smart ones then hire people around them, right? To help them out, I guess celebrate and see their vision through. So I'm an entrepreneur and I'm thinking, well, you know what? I'm gonna hire myself an accountant or a finance guy, to deal with all that money stuff. Uh, what would you tell me, like, of why it's important that I should understand all that stuff too?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that comes to mind when you ask that question, one of my books was on identity theft, fraud, and investment scams. And sadly, Mario, first of all, I just want to say there are amazing professionals out there, be it accountants, bookkeepers, folks in the financial industry, and you want to engage in all of them. But you want to do your own due diligence as well. Let's say you hired somebody internally to do all of your accounting, your invoicing. There's so many tragic stories about small business owners
Mm,
bringing someone in who then committed a fraud within their business. Oftentimes, it's very, mom and pop kind of shop fraud. So, Mario, absolutely bring the professionals in, absolutely look to expand to hire what you're not good at and you don't like doing. But please never hand over the reins 100% to anyone without checking, without regularly checking in. Doesn't mean you have to be the expert. I don't invest my portfolio. I trust portfolio managers and the professionals that I work with, but I do my due diligence up front to make sure I'm with the right folks, and then I check on them constantly to make sure that they're doing what they said they were going to do. So really important that you don't just go, oh, I'm just going to hire this out and I never have to look at my finances. It's like with your health. You bring in a doctor, you bring in a nurse, a nutritionist, and a personal trainer, but it's still up to you to look after your health. You don't want to ever fully delegate your finances to absolutely anyone.
mhm. Well, thanks so much, Kelly, for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Mario.
Okay, that was Kelley Keehn, who is CEO of MoneyWise Institute. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today.